the church has 12 great feasts. Μέσα στην εκκλησία μας, στην Ορθόδοξη Εκκλησία, έχουμε 12 μεγάλες γιορτές που γιορτάζουμε το χρόνο της Εκκλησίας. So in these 12 feasts, I believe we have, I'm trying to remember, 4 or 5 that are dedicated specifically to the Theotokos. 2 of them in particular, the one that we're celebrating today, and then the one that is my name day, which is then the Evangelismo or the Annunciation. Both of these have very important things to tell us, and so the church gives us these 2 great feasts. In the first one, the Annunciation feast, what we learn is that not every voice that speaks to us, or right away when we hear a voice speaking to us, we should not necessarily listen to that voice. This is the lesson that we have. The angel Gabriel comes to the Virgin Mary and announces that she is now going to give birth to the Son of God. Her response is not, wow, what a wonderful thing. I can't believe that I'm going to give birth to God. No, her initial response is one of apprehension and anxiety, because who is this that is talking to me? Okay, this is a very valuable lesson to us, because throughout our lives, I know throughout my life, I've had many different voices talking to me. Voices that tell me to do good and voices that tell me to do bad. Unfortunately, in my life, I have many times listened to the voice that tells me something bad to do. So not every voice that we hear is the proper voice. And what we learn from the Annunciation feast is we learn the diakrisis. We learn the ability to discern what it is that we hear. Hey, I think it's a great idea if we go and get drunk tonight and drive around. Not a good idea. But no, I don't think that that's something good we're going to do. The other voice comes to you and says, hey, it would be a nice thing for us as a family today if we came now, we celebrated Kimesis here in church. Good idea, something to listen to, all right? So that first lesson is a very important one because it's not just a Bible story. It's true, certainly, but it also gives us a very important characteristic that we should have. The second one is a much more theological story here, or a much more theological point, is because we have 2 feasts here. Το πρώτο το γιορτή που γιορτάζουμε σήμερα είναι η Kimesis. Αλλά το δεύτερο τι είναι? Ανάληψη. Now, normally when we use the term ανάληψη, so we have 2 great feasts today. We have the falling asleep, right? Kimame, right? Kimate, that's falling asleep. That means that she died. Just like we say in the creed, he suffered, died, and was buried. We make sure, the church makes sure that you know that Jesus Christ was dead as a human, in his humanity. The same thing we have here. The church teaches us that she died. But the difference is, unlike Jesus Christ, who is God, and as much as you might think, and growing up, we think we're God, we're not God. But what we are is we are mortal. So we will die. And so what we get in the second part of this is not just the falling asleep, but the analipsi, which is now the withdrawal, the taking up. That's why we say analipsi, we say because the ascension, we call it that, but it's the same thing here. She is being taken up bodily into heaven. The Theotokos becomes for us the first example of what will hopefully happen to us when we die, that we will receive our glorified body. That is the promise that is given not just by the words of Christ, but in the example of the Theotokos. So these 2 feasts for us are very important. One is an important lesson for us in terms of the voice that we hear. We need to be able to discern that voice. And the second is a much more theological. It instills in us the promise that Jesus Christ gave us that if we stay in him, methibon, when you stay in me, then I promise that bodily you will now receive your glorified body.